Hey there, my name is Cole Adams, and you are watching the best college basketball podcast out there that covers the entire sport of college basketball, brackets, bubbles, and bid stealers. Now, here are your hosts, Sam Fetterman and Jonathan Lidskin.
Season 6. Oh, wow, that's in some echo. Episode 22 of Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers. I am Sam Fetterman. That is Jonathan Lidskin. Jonathan, how are you doing on this Wednesday afternoon?
Couldn't be better, Sam. We couldn't be better. We're getting into a groove here with the top 100 countdown, and got a lot more tip-off talks on the way.
We are joined by the sports editor for the Daily Iowan, Brad Schultz. Brad, and we are talking about your Iowa Hawkeyes.
Yes,
Welcome
sir.
to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Good to have you on. You actually just sat down with Ben McCollum the other day, so you have a lot of fresh insights to go over. The new head coach of the Hawkeyes in his first season, spent last year at Drake. Jonathan, we talked for probably like at least 2 full hours on the pod like last year, throughout the season in different times, about Drake and about Ben McCollum and about Bennett Sturts and about Cam Manyow and about all these players on this Drake team that are now on this Iowa team. But now that we're here, now that we're in the offseason, because we all knew he was going to end up at a high major. We didn't know if it was going to be this year. We pretty quickly found out it was going to be this year. Now that we're here, now that we're in the offseason, and he's put together his roster at a high major, Jonathan, what are the Ben McCollum? What is the Ben McCollum Bible right now? What is the Bible on Ben McCollum?
Are you asking like what you're saying is?
No. Like, where are we right now, heading into next season? Now that we're here, now that we are at the stage where he's in the offseason, heading into his first season at high major, where are we on Ben McCollum?
Oh, I mean, after what they did last season at Drake, I think it's.
And also, what was my saying?
It was there's no definitive proof that he's not the best coach in the country.
That's correct.
But
I wasn't sure which saying you were talking about.
On McCollum and sort of the temperature around him right now, it's hard to say that he's underrated still after the season they had last year, winning 31 games. They've won an NCAA tournament game, won the MVC regular season and tournament title. It was pretty much all you can ask for and way more from him in his only season at Drake. But somehow, I think he's probably going to fly under the radar because he's at a school that doesn't have a huge basketball brand, and his team played really slow, and they don't have big name players outside of Bennett Sturts that everyone knows. But this is once again a really good roster and probably should be treated as one of the better teams in the Big Ten, certainly in the upper half of the Big Ten.
Brad, is the feeling around Iowa City does it feel different right now? Is the vibe different from what it was under current Penn head coach Fran McCaffrey? Shout out Ivy League.
Absolutely. You walk around and just talk to anybody around campus, and people are excited to go to games again. And when I started here as a student a few years ago, nobody went to games. I was one of maybe 20 people that went to games. And now I think the student section is going to be packed this year. And just the enthusiasm around the city and the whole state really has been immense. And people can't wait for basketball season. And that's unusual around here, especially with another football season about to kick off in about a month.
Okay. When you talk about Ben McCollum, when you talk about Iowa, there's one name that you have to talk about immediately, and that is Benito Sturtovich, Bennett Sturts, whom, if he were born in Serbia, would have been a top 5 pick last year. But he was not. He was born somewhere in the middle of nowhere in Missouri and is now entering his senior year of high school. Oh, my God, his senior year of college. Definitely not high school. His senior year of college as one of the most decorated players in college basketball. Missouri Valley Larry Bird Player of the Year. Division II. Highly decorated Division II player, highly decorated Division I player. Now has the chance to become a highly decorated Big Ten player. Probably the best point guard in the country, not named Braden Smith.
Yeah.
Are we agreement on that?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Brad, what does having Bennett Sturts mean for the continuity of Ben McCollum's system?
Oh, it means everything. And here's a guy who was completely under the radar out of high school. I believe McCollum was the only coach to really give him a shot at the D2 level. And he's just a baller. And there's so many ways to describe him. But yeah, and like you mentioned, the continuity is going to be great for this program because he knows McCollum's system and he's just a leader too. He could play 40 minutes a game. He could score 19.2 points per game last year, and he can also dish the rock. And that's important for this program to have that right away. And I expect big things from him, and I think Hawkeye fans should too.
When you talk to Coach McCollum, is it just like, oh, Bennett's Bennett? Like, is that kind of the vibe that you get from what McCollum says about Sturts?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, we kind of just know what to expect from Bennett at this point. And yeah, I mean, coach is confident and Bennett's ready to go.
Jonathan, we talked for hours about Bennett Sturts last year. Can you sum up into a couple sentences what watching him in the Big Ten is going to be?
Well, first of all, I want to stop you real quick because you completely disrespected the Kansas City suburbs and Liberty, Missouri, where Bennett Sturts.
Oh, I thought he was the middle of nowhere.
No, Liberty is in Clay County, which is where Kansas City is. It is the Kansas City metro area.
Okay, Mr. Middle Missouri.
He is definitely not from the middle of nowhere, where at least where I went to school. Nowhere near there. But to answer your question, Sam, I think Bennett Sturts is going to translate beautifully to the Big Ten because you really can't speed him up. He plays the game at the pace that he wants to. You know, Brad mentioned his playmaking. He's a dead-eye shooter as well. I think all his skills will translate up a level really easily. And if you watch him play against Missouri and Texas Tech, like it kind of can confirm that if that's what you believe, because those two teams had athletes, specifically Missouri's defense, with how much they tried to force turnovers, and he took great care of the ball in that game and really made them pay for their mistakes.
Yeah, that's the thing I look at when I see Sturts. I just see a guy who's not rattled by anything. He's got Craig Doty had a great thread about Ben McCollum around the tournament, and he was like, "You will play the game Ben McCollum wants you to play." And that's possible because of Bennett Sturts, because Bennett Sturts will play the game that Bennett Sturts wants to play. He's going to control the pace. He's going to control whatever. And I think this is something we were talking about a lot going into that Drake-Mizzou game when I was so confidently backing Drake, when I was saying, look, Ben McCollum's going to play the game Ben McCollum wants to play. And Ben McCollum played the game that Ben McCollum wanted to play. That was even faster than most games, but it was 65 possessions. That's like, you play 65 possessions, that's probably a win in the eyes of Mizzou. They were probably trying to keep that game above 63 possessions. But if that's just says what Drake and McCollum and Sturts, the power of a point guard in Ben McCollum's system, it's the power of having a point guard. You had Trevor Hudgens at Northwest Missouri. It was another thing that Craig Doty said. He always has the best point guard, not just in the league, in the country, in Division II. And when I was watching Sturts, and when I was looking through stats, heading into the 23-24 season, and I stumbled upon Sturts, and I saw, Northwest Missouri, point guard, Bennett Sturts. I'm like, oh, yeah, this guy's a name to keep an eye on. And I sent you two names. It was him and Max Weisbrod. Both of them ended up going D1 the next year in the Missouri Valley. Weisbrod was solid. He's probably going to have another solid year. And then Bennett Sturts was the other one who's going to be a preseason All-American.
Yeah.
And I think Sturts, I know that Sturts is the straw that stirs the drink. He is the engine that powers this team. But it's also important to talk about everyone else on this roster. Brendan Hausen, coming in from K-State, started his career at Villanova, one of the best shooters in the country, basically coming in to be the Mitch Mascari replacement. And it's crazy to say replacement when we're talking about Drake versus Iowa, but in the system, it's the replacement. Brad, how has Hausen looked so far? How has he integrated into McCollum's system?
He's been looking really good. Yeah. Coach is really confident, and his abilities. And I think just having a sharpshooter like that is going to be so crucial for Iowa, because obviously Bennett Sturts is going to attract a lot of attention from defenses, and he's going to get doubled up. And then you got a guy like Brendan Housen to shovel it off to. And that's just a great asset for this team. And yeah, I cannot wait to see what he does. And he's proven that he can do it at a high level. I mean, we saw it at K-State last year. So can't wait to see it here.
Jonathan, on Hazen?
Yeah, I think you guys kind of said it. He's the Mitch Mascari de facto replacement here, and his shooting is one of his great offensive skills. It's not his only offensive skill though. I think he does a good job as a secondary ball handler, taking care of it. He's not going to make plays. He's not going to make plays, but he certainly can play a little bit of a point guard. In the two minutes that Sturts will sit out per game, if that. He was playing 40 minutes a game last year. I'm going to guess in the Big Ten that's probably not the case. So it is nice to have a guy like Housen playing next to him as complimentary ball handler.
Jonathan, do you think that how do you think the adjustment will be from playing for Neptune and Tang to playing for McCollum?
I'm sure it's going to be a pretty big difference. I mean, those two guys had a lot of freedom with what they did with their players in their offensive system. But I think, like, Brendan Housen, isn't a guy that's going to force up shots. He's not a high usage player. He's just a really good shooter and a nice secondary ball handling option. So, I don't think that the demands of McCollum are going to be too high for him compared to some of the other players on this roster. And because he's not a guy that's going to do the dirty work for him. They have other guys on this roster to do that.
Speaking of the other guys on this roster to do that, I want to talk about the front court, because this is a front court that is definitely one of the more interesting ones in the Big Ten. Alvaro Fulgaris and Cam Maniau, two players that do completely different things. Maniau, one of the more unique players in the sport. Jonathan, can you sum up Cam Maniau in a couple sentences as the Missouri Valley guy?
Yeah, so he was a guy I was really excited about coming over from Wyoming. I thought he was going to be this team's best player last year. It ended up being Sturts, obviously, but he was still a very valuable piece for them. Offensive game, not 100% polished, but where he makes his killing is defensively. He had a top 13 steal rate in the entire country, as well as a nationally ranked block rate. And he is an excellent rebounder, one of the country's best. Don't be fooled by that 6'8", 6'9" size. He has a long wingspan, and he can bounce out of the gym. He's also very efficient as a lob threat right around the rim. Probably not going to step out and hit any shots unless his game takes a major development this offseason. But a very, very good complementary secondary option for Drake, and one that will be the anchor of their defense.
And then Fulgaris, one of my favorite transfers, one of my favorite fits. Just look at a guy that can be the perfect pick and roll, pick and pop partner. Athletic, can dive to the basket, can hit pick and pop threes. He can really make a killing as a short roll secondary playmaker. And I think that the front court that he played in last year, the Marion Dickerson at Robert Morris, and then just kind of the system that they played at Robert Morris, where he was exposed to doing a lot of different things. My favorite thing about Fulgaris is the versatility that he has on both ends of the floor. And I think that that's maybe something that you didn't see a ton of with Drake last year. A lot of the guys are more pigeonholed into specific roles. And I think Fulgaris can kind of help that system scale up to the Big Ten level, where you can have guys that can do a plethora of different things. And I'm not saying Drake's guys couldn't do a plethora of different things. They were supposed to do a bunch of very specific things. And I think Fulgaris is a wider array that can help him kind of let this system work at the Big Ten level. Brad, what are your thoughts on the front court?
Yeah, I think the front court is going to be great. And let's first talk about Cam Manyawu or whatever his name is. I can't pronounce it yet.
It's Manyao.
Manyao, got it.
It's a lot easier than it looks.
Yeah. So Manyao, yeah, you guys said it. I mean, this is a guy that, he's probably not going to put the ball in the bucket too much, but Iowa needs a guy that can just be that enforcer out there. And we never saw that with Fran McCaffrey, but now you want that guy to really, do the dirty work, deflect passes, get in opponents' faces, and rebound the basketball. And that's the type of player that you need to win games in the Big Ten. And I'm glad that he's coming over from Drake. And then Fulgaris, I mean, from what I've heard, this guy's a beast. I love the fact that he's from Europe. Obviously, that's a great pipeline from there. And if you look back when he played at Robert Morris, he had a big game against Alabama in the NCAA tournament, and they almost pulled that upset. And this is a guy that can do it from all over the floor, inside, obviously, and he can shoot the ball. And that's great to have on your team. And, yeah, there's a lot of good things to look forward to with this front court for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Fulgaris, when you watch that Robert Morris team, a couple guys, Fulgaris and Dickerson, stood out as like, okay, these guys are way too good for the Horizon League. But I want to talk about the rest of this front court. Tavion Banks on the wing, Isaiah Howard as well. But the front court pieces with Thompson and Koch. Jonathan, how do you think this team's depth, do you think they're deeper than last year's Drake team? And if so, why?
So I do, only because, though, they added Trey Thompson. And two, I think that when McCollum takes guys with him, he does, like we've seen, he does it for a reason. So like taking Tate Sage with him, who was committed to him at Drake, and now going to Iowa, tells you how he feels about the kid. Trevin Jurek was committed to Northern Iowa. He took him from Northern Iowa, brought him to Iowa. That's a Valley commit that now is going up to the Big Ten. So I think when McCollum takes those kind of kids, he has a purpose to it. And the guy that I want to point to as an example of that, for this team specifically, is Isaiah Howard. Sam, like, I alerted you to Isaiah Howard, I think last year in like October when I was making my rounds on Valley commits. And, this kid, he played at a really small school in Missouri. I think it was a Class 2 school. And, he's playing against guys that
is middle of nowhere.
Yes. He's playing against guys that are really small and obviously not nearly as athletic. I mean, it looked like he was playing against kids that were fully like 4 years younger than him. And, watching his film was really hard because of that. But, when you see it with him. And last year he really came on late, and you could tell that Ben thought he was, going to be ready earlier than maybe we anticipated, or I anticipated it as a fan of his game. And so I wouldn't be surprised, right? Because you have your 8 guys here with your starting 5, and then Combs, Howard, Cooper, Koch. And then you also have these 3 freshmen, Sage, Thompson, Jurek. I would bet on one of those guys being ready to play at least at some point in the first half or so of the season.
Jonathan, I know you're a Trey Thompson guy. Why?
The schools that were recruiting him, to be perfectly honest, Purdue really wanted him. When Matt Painter wants a kid, it's usually for a pretty good reason. But to be perfectly honest, I think he's a great fit for the system. He's a modern 4-man, can face up, step out, and shoot the 3. He's physical. He's really got some muscle on him. So I think he's a kid that probably reclassing made sense for him because he's already ready to play college basketball. He has a college-ready body. Purdue didn't have a spot for him. So he comes to Iowa, and I think he makes an impact right away.
All right, Jonathan, Brad, anything else to add before we go?
Yeah, I mean, you guys were talking about some of these freshmen, and McCollum's told me yesterday that these guys have been better than expected so far. And like you guys said, I think one, if not all three of those guys are going to make a contribute right away. So, and going back to Trey Thompson, what a recruiting win that is for Ben McCollum to beat out Tennessee when this is a guy who's from Tennessee, and to beat out, like you said, Purdue, Alabama, Tennessee, Indiana, all those schools. And I think that's just a testament to the kind of recruiter and the kind of guy that Ben McCollum is. And that alone should get Hawkeye fans pretty excited about recruiting.
Sam, I do want to mention a couple more things.
Go ahead.
You kind of have this wing spot. You know, you think that Sturts, Hausen, Fulgaris, Manuel will start. I think that Koch is going to be the fifth starter. McCollum really liked Banks off the bench last year at Drake as like this come in, rebound, defend,
make stuff happen,
draw a ton of fouls. Yeah,
like when Banks is on the court, good things happen.
Yeah, he was like the Energizer Bunny for them almost. And I think Koch is probably due for a pretty big leap in his second year, especially, you know, playing with a point guard like Bennett Sturts. You know, he only played 10 games last year. His numbers were pretty good in those games from an efficiency standpoint. He can really step out and shoot it. So I think that starting him, you give them a ton of offensive options on the perimeter right away. And then, you know, we talked about Fulgaris, but like, I think it's truly like understated how good he was last year. Robert Morris, like he does not have very many weaknesses in his game. Like he rebounds. He's really elite offensive player. He can do a lot of different things on that end. And I think if you watch him play, you know, Ben McCollum's probably salivating, thinking to himself that like he has a like 10 times better version of Daniel Abreu, who was quite good for Drake last year.
All right, guys. Jonathan, can you take us home?
Yeah. If you came to hear about Tyler Self and where he's working, you came to the right place. If you came to hear about Benito Sturtovich, you came to the right place. And if you came to hear about the latest happenings with Caleb Krill, you came to the right place. This has been season 6, episode 22 of Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Steelers, our tip-off talk Iowa episode, and we'll see you next.